Welcome to the latest episode of Let's Talk Blood Cancer, the Patients podcast with me, Adam Joyce, former blood cancer patient myself. And for those of you that have been watching our previous podcast, you'll see that the setting today is a little bit different because we're out here in Calpe in the beautiful Costa Blanca for training camp for Tour 21. And you'll see that I'm joined by four gentlemen on the sofa. Gents, probably easier if you introduce yourselves. Please, starting with you, Simon.
Yeah, I'm Simon Davies. I have leukemia.
I'm David Stoyle, also living with blood cancer.
I'm Bob Munro. I've got myeloma. That's the blood cancer no one's ever heard of. Had that for 14 years.
I'm Chris Edgerton, and I've got a very rare lymphoma.
Well, gents, it's wonderful to meet you. And I guess the five of us, all with our own blood cancer stories. What a group of people to put on a sofa together, eh? You are taking on something really, really special. I want to talk, first of all, about what the Tour 21 is, because there will be lots of people watching this podcast who have got no idea, not really about the Tour de France or about the Tour 21. So who wants to kick us off with a couple of stats about what you gents are undertaking?
That's the data man. Yeah, nominated data man. We're taking on the Tour de France route 1 week ahead of the professionals, which is 21 stages, 3,333 meters, 3,330 kilometers, and 54,500 meters of climbing. And something about the number of mountains we're going over.
I think it's about 30 different cols or mountains that we have to climb up over the course of 3 weeks. So it's a substantial ride.
So this is serious, isn't it, gents? 3,333k. This isn't just a ride out on a Sunday, is it? I mean, this is a week ahead of the professionals, the whole tour. Are you all cyclists? Have you all done plenty of cycling before?
I've been cycling since 2017. I started because of the cancer. So.
Wow. So you say you started because of the cancer. What was your motivation to get on a bike?
Because I spent 2 weeks thinking I was dead, and then when I realised it was treatable, I needed something to do just to prove to myself that I wasn't done at 55. So I signed up to ride from LA to Boston across America and bought a bike and did it a year later. So, and this is obviously carrying on from there.
Well, this really is carrying on, and we'll pick up a bit more on your story in a bit, Chris. But some of the iconic climbs that you guys are going to face, this isn't just a challenge that you can get on your bicycle and do, is it? Hence why we're in Calpe. What's this week all about?
I think you got to build up a lot of endurance because it's a long time. You're cycling virtually every day for 3 weeks. But the mountains are the real struggle because it's really tough cycling up a mountain, especially when you're as big as me. It's a power to weight ratio. It's really hard work getting up these mountains. So you've got to have stamina, you've got to have super fitness. And of course, we're all starting, well, apart from David here, we're all starting from a very low base. So we have to really work at it and try and get fit.
And you gents didn't know each other prior to meeting on this camp, did you?
No.
So friendships forged, or will be forged, certainly over the pain in the saddle and your own journeys. I mean, Chris, we've heard about why you've signed up. Does anyone else want to share your stories about why you've decided to take on this challenge?
Yeah, I had a similar thing. I was diagnosed. I wasn't a cyclist when I was diagnosed, but it was in 2012. I spent the whole of that year lying on the sofa. So instead of watching Tour de France highlights after work, I watched every minute of Bradley Wiggins winning the Tour de France.
Yeah.
And that really inspired me. And I thought, if I'm ever well enough, I'd really like to buy a bike and maybe cycle in France.
Yeah.
And then actually I bought the bike in 2014. 2 years later, I organised a London-Paris ride for my family and friends. 125 of us went over, did London-Paris, raised a load of money, and that sort of kicked me off for a fundraising lifetime, really.
Wow. And what about you gents then?
I wasn't really a cyclist until I was diagnosed in 2020. And I think it was something that it's good to throw yourself into an activity with some kind of purpose. And also, I suppose, to convince yourself that you're not going to sit around feeling unwell. You're going to challenge yourself. But for me, I've done a lot of single day riding, but the real challenge of what we're going to do is to do it day after day, and that accumulation of fatigue, that's going to be the big challenge for me, I think.
Yeah. David, do you really recognise what you're undertaking here?
I think so. I was just saying that I'm the opposite of these because I was a cyclist before I'm signing up for this and been cycling seriously for sort of 10, 15 years. And I looked at doing it several times, but the raising £30,000 was just too daunting for somebody without a purpose and without a reason. And I was diagnosed whilst having a hip replacement operation.
Wow.
Came out of the blue, had no symptoms. And that was the spark for me. The diagnosis was the spark for the fundraising. So other way around from these guys.
And because you were cycling before, David, that you've shared with us, did your treatment ever stop you from cycling completely? I mean, clearly, if you were having a hip replacement, that will take you off the bike for a while.
Yeah, for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
I actually haven't been treated at the moment. I'm still under the watch and wait. I've got a chronic leukemia, and I'm still just having regular monitoring and blood tests. So my theory is that the fitter you keep yourself and the stronger you are, the more likely you are to keep the treatment at bay for as long as possible.
I couldn't agree more.
So that's why I've done this.
Yeah. Do you share your story with people? Do you share your diagnosis with people, or is it something that's quite personal to you?
No, I think sharing it and partly signing up for the tour and the fundraising has been an opportunity to share it with people that you maybe wouldn't normally share it with. And I think it's better to be shared than it is to keep it within yourself. So that's another advantage of signing up and the fundraising and some sort of self-promotion, which is not something that comes naturally to me or that I've done in the past, but you've got to do it.
Yeah.
And I've quite
You're allowed
enjoyed
to
it.
do it when you're asking everybody for money for an event like this, aren't you?
Yeah, and especially so much money.
Was there ever a moment in any of your treatment? I mean, Chris, you've shared some dark times already. Was there ever a moment during your treatment and you thought getting on a bicycle or doing something like this would never be possible?
Yeah, I mean, I had 6 months of chemo, and that was pretty tough. So yeah, I mean, on that one, I was, I wasn't sure how I'd recover from it and how much I could cycle after that, because I just got into it. Because the first one was just really, I suppose, just to prove to myself I could do something, and I had 7 months to sort of get used to the idea that you've got a cancer. Because I used to be the last job I had before I retired was a cancer nurse up at Christie. So
wow.
So I've been a nurse and a patient.
Wow. So the irony there. I mean, how did that diagnosis impact you? Did you think you took the diagnosis easier or harder because you knew what you might be facing?
All it was I saw my blood results before I even saw a doctor. So my wife was away. I had 2 weeks to sort of mull it over. And I think it took me about 2 days. And to be honest, I really did come to terms with that was the end, and I was more worried about how everybody else would be.
Yeah.
And then when somebody gives you a second chance at life, I was sort of, more fool you if you don't take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Because I think the only thing, none of us have got enough time. I mean, time is the big thing. So when somebody gives you more time, I think that was the, the thing. And I suppose having been a nurse and sat through with other people who've been given that, the awful sort of, you've got so long.
Yeah.
I think it's probably easier for me to sort of get a hold of. I think if you never thought about it, and especially if you're fit, if you never thought about it your whole life, it must be.
Did the irony ever affect you?
Oh, it does all the time, even now. I just think, again, I mean, I've just been lucky. I mean, people, I actually say to some people sometimes, cancer's probably the best thing that ever happened to me, because it sort of was a wake-up call in my 50s because you never know when your time's up, whether you got cancer or not. No. And I think for me it was good. It was a wake-up call. I decided to do something that's grown into things like this, and the fundraising. If people hadn't have done fundraising before and research, we wouldn't be here now. So
absolutely right. And Bob, you're living with myeloma. Mm-hmm. Do you think that your diagnosis will impact your training or even your performance on the event, on the Tour 21?
Well, I was going to say, when I first started cycling, I thought, well, how much am I going to be able to actually cycle? But I took to it very quickly. And when I did the first London-Paris in 2016, I thought, am I going to manage 4 days in a row? And I was astounded that I could. And I felt great at the end of it. So I've done 5 or 6 London-Parises.
Yeah.
But then I always had this event in mind, right back sort of 10 years ago, but I thought I'd never be able to do it. But then last year, I worked as a cycle guide looking after other people on a Land's End John O'Groats event. I did it a couple of times, 1,000 miles in 2 weeks. And I thought, hey, I could do this as well. So maybe I could do the Tour de France. So I've been astounded at my own endurance and being able to do these things. But like Chris, it's only the cancer which has sparked this passion in cycling and in fundraising as well. And so I feel quite grateful. Just like a lot of cancer patients, you know, you sniff out all the smells in the countryside. You appreciate the birds in the sky and the bird song and that sort of thing. And when you're out on a bike and these sort of places, it's sort of elevated to even greater levels.
So, Simon, if you are struggling up any of those hills, what will you use as your motivation to make sure that you don't stop and you just keep pedaling? I'm
a very determined person, and whether that's to do with self-doubt or a need to prove myself, but for me, I just dig in and I'm going to make sure that I get up to the top of that mountain, whatever.
A very determined man you are by the sounds of it. Chris, what about you, buddy? If you really need to draw back on any of your experiences.
Yeah, there was a moment on my ride across America where I wasn't sure whether I could do it. I mean, it was the first time I'd ever been on a bike. It was 3,500 miles. And we were in the middle of the Mojave Desert. It was 120 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know what that is in centigrade, but it was really hot. It was over 100 miles, and I got some music on, which was a bit emotional. And I was doing whatever a lot of cancer patients do, which was, why me? It's not fair, and doing all this. And the music changed, and it suddenly sort of inspired me a little bit. And I started crying on the bike on my own. And it was just, I knew I could do it. I can't say why, but I knew from that moment on, I could keep pushing and doing it. And I think once you've been through things like that, then it'd be the same on this. You know, there'd be some really bad times, but you just know you've got to keep going, you know. So.
See, I love that. And I can't wait to speak to you afterwards and just see how well that works. Gentlemen, you've embarked on some amazing fundraising efforts for the Tour 21 because, yes, there are a lot of reasons for you. You've told us about your personal reasons for riding this. But we are also raising an awful lot of money for Q Leukemia. Chris, you're aiming for 75,000.
Well, I live in the US, so it's $100,000. Yeah, I don't know what that is in euros.
Wow.
But, yeah.
Well, we've worked that out to 75. Or we can say £100,000 if you want to.
Whatever you want.
Bob, you're aiming for 100,000. Both of you have raised over 30,000 so far. How do you find the approach to friends, family, supporters?
I think for me it's slightly different because I've got friends and family, obviously. But my wife she was in big business, and I think corporate is a slightly different thing. It's there's a lot more money there. So when they do donate, it's easier to get to those bigger numbers. But yeah, I mean, everybody's been great. I mean, I think we're probably all the same, which is I wouldn't want anybody giving me money just because they feel sorry for me because you've got a cancer. I feel like if I've earned it.
Yeah.
And I think with these type of cycle rides, you've definitely earned it.
Oh, you're going to earn it, and you know we'll be documenting your journey as it goes on. Bob?
Well, I've done a lot of fundraising over the last 10 years, and London-Paris rides. I put together a Pisa-Rome ride. We did an ultra marathon along the Thames path. A lot of it with my friends and family, and my son's friends in particular have been really helpful for that. So I've got a track record. I think I've raised probably £300,000 over the past 10 years or so. So I just set my target really high. Obviously, I'll go back to the friends and family. There's only so many times you can go back to the well to keep asking them. So you've got to be quite inventive. But, I'm up in the ante this time in terms of the event. So I've got something to shout about.
Yeah.
And ironically, over the 10 years, my family, I thought, I wasn't going to see after a couple of years. I'm still here. They're still here. They got growing families. I've got granddaughters. It's great. And their careers have all moved on, and their careers moving on means they got more people to speak to. They've got more contacts. So I'm actually going to tap into my son's friends and contacts and business associates as well, and pull on the heartstrings because it's a mammoth effort we're going to put in, and I think we've all got a great story. So I'm just going to go for it.
You absolutely have, then, and that's just so wonderful for us to hear here, of course, at Cure Leukemia. But David, you're doing things a little bit different, aren't you? You've been bringing your community together, drinking loads of coffee, I hear.
That's true. As I said, the fundraising was one of the biggest barriers for me doing the event, and having the story to tell has enabled that. And so we've tried to just do things for the local community. So we've organised coffee mornings on a Sunday for local cyclists, and we've got sort of 10 cycling clubs from Bath and Bristol to come round and see us. I gave a talk about our travels by bike. My wife and I have done a lot of touring around the world, and we had 50 people turn up for that, and that raised £700, and it was just a great chance to share our story and what cycling means to us. And then looking forward to it, my son's a chef, and he's going to cook a charity dinner in a local farm for us in June. We've got a charity cricket match. So just trying to do things to bring people together and to share the story.
And what a massive variety as well of different things that people can get involved in, which is just brilliant.
Yeah.
Well,
the last thing is my daughter's a garden designer, and she's going to be doing a show garden at RHS Badminton in July.
what a talented family you've got.
Far more talented than me, definitely.
Well, we'll see.
and I'm sponsoring that through Cure Leukemia, and so hopefully that'll be the final fundraising event when we're on the tour. Unfortunately, I won't be able to go and see it because we'll be riding up some mountain. At the time.
Where will you be at the time? Who knows? But
I should know that question, but I don't.
and I don't either.
don't
So,
know.
Simon, if we look ahead to the event, then are there any parts of the Tour 21 that are really exciting you?
I'm particularly looking forward to going to the Vosges Mountains because I haven't cycled there before. So to cycle different cols and different mountains that I haven't done before. So that's motivational and inspiring to do that. There's a few places in the Alps as well, the Plateau de Solaizon, and of course Alpe d'Huez, which we're meant to be climbing. Well, we are.
You will be climbing.
Twice. So I think a lot of cyclists would recognise that as being an iconic climb that you really want to do.
Yeah.
And then to do it in this setting with a group of people to encourage each other.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you'll need to, won't you? 13 of you on the ride, I think. We're sitting here smiling about the things that excite you, but what about any parts of this that scare you? Any of you have any fears about this ride? Any specific ones?
I think the scary thing is that a lot of people are saying this is the hardest route they've put together for decades.
Yeah.
And also they've loaded all the mountain stages in the last week as well, or a lot of them. So the penultimate days, stages 19 and 20 are absolutely huge. And they both go up Alpe d'Huez. So that is already scaring me.
Yeah.
Just thinking, after 3 weeks, we'll be at our weakest and our lowest potentially. And then we've got to do the two biggest days of the whole tour. So.
But that's when the memories are created, aren't they?
Yeah, I think the one thing that's scaring me is trying to keep up with these guys.
Well, it's easy to say it's not a competition, but is it?
No, it's not a competition, but I've got a lot of work to do to get fast. I've been way behind them for the last 2 days. So
yeah. And if there's anybody who, or there will be people watching this podcast who are going through their own blood cancer journey right now, they could well be in hospital, receiving treatment and feeling incredibly weak, that all 5 of us sort of know what that feeling's like, really. What might you say to them?
Just live one day at a time and try and get as much out of it as you can, I've always found being positive. I'm lucky. My glass has always been half full. So I think even with patients, I always saw it as how do we make just today as good as we can, even if that's not great. But I think if you get on a downward spiral, it's full enough. It's the same with cycling. When people say, but going up a hill, if you start thinking about getting off, you can get off very quickly. And I think it's the same with cancer. It is not fair in a way, but anybody can get it. But I think this, for me, cycling makes me feel alive, but also just one day at a time, Treatments are hard, but it can get better. We're proof of that.
Well, you are, and I've experienced it myself, when you feel that you just can't do anything or that you won't ever be able to do anything, and here you are getting on a bike to ride the Tour.
Yeah, I started exercising when I was in the first year because I was so exhausted, and I just thought, I've got to do something, get off the sofa, start walking. I've got to help give myself the best possible chance of being able to cope with all this treatment. So I started walking, and of course it went on to cycling. And I always say that I do a lot of patient mentoring for new patients who've just been diagnosed with myeloma, who are really down and they're really worried about the treatment and all the side effects, etc. So obviously I can use myself as an exemplar of what's possible. I don't want to sort of ram it down their throats. I don't want to look smug, but hopefully I can inspire them a bit and just give them some advice. You know, the drugs are out there because of the research and the money that people like us have raised over the years. And we've put the research in, lots of new drugs coming up. Just incredible number. And so the prospects are so much better than they used to be 10 or 15 years ago, certainly when I got myeloma and when these other guys got blood cancer. So I'm like Chris, super optimistic all the time, just naturally like that. My cup's always over half full. Yeah. And I just think, you know, I can pass that on to new patients and just give them some sort of hope.
So your cup's half full, yours is over half full. So I guess by the time we get to the end, we've got a full glass. And what would you say to anyone who thinks, right, there is an opportunity to ride maybe the 4 stages or even get involved in the event in 2027? I know we're in the early stages. I know we're on the training camp at the moment, but is there any advice that any of you would give to anyone who is thinking, I'd really like to get involved in this?
I just think you should do it. I mean, these things, they're hard, but, you know, the reward after is tremendous. I mean, I still think back to the ride across the US. I can still remember places. You can feel like what you've done, you know, rather than just watching.
Yeah.
It's hard, but I think, you know, all the good things, you know, if it was easy, everybody would do it.
Exactly. And it has to be hard because if we're going to approach our friends and family and ask them to give generously, well, it's got to be a challenge.
It's a bit like saying, you know, with the cancer, you know, people, if they feel sorry for you, I mean, it is hard at times, but, you know, the benefit, you're alive. I mean, that's the key thing. So the good bits, I think, are even better, even though, you know, it can get a bit dark now and again.
David?
Yeah, I was just going to say that I think it's about the group of people in the team as well that we've got. I mean, we've only been together for 3 days, but even now I think that, you know, that bondship and that friendship is developing unbelievably rapidly because you've got a common goal, a common purpose. You know, with us, before this, I didn't realise we had a common illness as well. But, you know, I mean, no, these things are just, you know, form a bond which is there to drag you through the 21 stages and all the pain and suffering to come. So
all the pain and suffering to come. So we were meant to be motivating people to join this year. That's what we were doing.
I like pain and suffering.
If you are watching and you're really into pain and suffering, this is obviously the event for you. Yeah, great.
Well, on the plus side, you get to ride actual stages of the tour and ride them like a pro. And it's not many people get the opportunity to do that. Exactly. So we'll be doing it with motorcycle escorts and physios and mechanics and that type of thing. So you really do feel like a pro when you're doing this type of event. And you know, you're a rank amateur, but doing stages of the Tour de France. What's not to like?
Absolutely. And let's be clear, you are riding the Tour de France. That's exactly what you are doing. The only difference being is that maybe the whole world doesn't know your name just yet, and it's a week before the professionals.
Yeah,
but this is big.
Every kilometre of the ride we're doing, every metre climbing we're doing. So yeah, it's massive.
And I like looking ahead. I like to be positive as well, but I always need something that motivates me. Have you got any plans for your celebration when the event is complete? I mean, is it straight on holiday or, you know, a couple of weeks of downtime?
It'd be the first time I've seen my wife for 3 weeks and the family. So we're going to do a little bit of touring around. But one of the previous riders made a really good point. He said there's a big down after.
Yeah. Because
you've been so close as a team. You've been doing it. So he suggested like organising something to do after just to make yourself keep going. So I think that was good advice.
I think that's great advice. Definitely the post-event blues. So the camp that we're on this week then, Simon, you're out on the bikes again today. What's the plan today? Are you sure? Yeah, do we know what's happening yet?
I think it's a relatively short ride today, which is 60 or 70 kilometres. We had a big ride yesterday, well, it's big for me, 125 kilometres. Went out in the hills, definitely felt some strain in the legs.
Yeah. Windy day yesterday as well, wasn't it?
There's a bit of wind, lots of sunshine, and some of the group are quite a bit fitter than I am at the moment. So it makes it clear you need to do some more training. But it's good to meet the guys, meet the team, and it makes everything feel a bit more real, that it's really happening.
Yeah.
Up to this point, it's been a bit over the horizon, or a bit, it's easy to say I'm going to be riding the Tour de France next year, kind of thing, but now it's really coming upon us. And that's quite motivational, but at the same time, it brings home the seriousness of the challenge. And it is a massive challenge that we're undertaking. But that partly is why we're doing it.
It sure is. And we've laughed and joked on this sofa today, but it is massive. And what you are going to do is massive. And as 4 blood cancer patients yourselves, taking on this challenge is no mean feat. But I want to thank you as a cured patient myself, and on behalf of everybody that will be watching this podcast. I'm sure everybody will be cheering these guys on. And if you are watching this at home or wherever you are watching around the world, and you would like to support these 4 guys and of course the other riders who are taking on the Tour 21 in just a couple of months, details on how to do that are included in the bottom of this video. Gents, it's been really great talking to you this morning. I've had a lovely time. I like the smiles, I like the laughter, I like the sincerity between all of you and what you are doing. I hope that not only do you have a wonderful ride, but new friendships are definitely formed from this point moving forward. Simon, David, Bob, Chris, thank you so much for joining us on the Patience Podcast. My name is Adam Joyce. We are out in Calpe in Spain as these guys get ready for 3,333 kilometres. I am so glad I'm not with them. Thanks, everybody.